like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.
It's bigger than the government. This one is for Dilla Hip Hop.
Diet, people talking about diet, getting obsessed with that, what they eat, people getting obsessed with things like crystals and singing bowls and, chakras and meditation. Like, there's all these things that people love in the spiritual community, except the developing of the self, which is the reflection of the self, which is the awareness of the self and everything that comes along with that, right? And I just think it's interesting, because that's really what this journey is. It's about developing yourself. It's about becoming better. Yes, doing like Locarena said, doing the inner work. Everything else is just trying to point you to that, and it's just it's interesting that we get so caught like arguing with one another about all the bullshit that's outside, about what we should be eating, and that we really forget the actual work, which is the inner work. Is how do you respond to life? How do you respond to your partner, to your relationships, to your children, to your community? How do you relate to life, and it's just it's unfortunate. I mean, but I guess it's all part of the process, right? But I guess for me, the more I kind of come on this journey and the more I start to be aware of certain things, the less those things have meaning for me. But I think at the beginning of the journey, it was a lot more about that for me. Like, I gravitated towards the external things like that. And now it's just, even like something for me, like building my body is just a tool. Like, I like it, I enjoy it, and it's part of my routine. But it's really just a metaphor for my own mind, for my own spiritual self-development. That internal work is facing the demons, and everything in my life has a place in that, and everything has been crafted meticulously to in some way reflect the spiritual journey, even when people focus on the external expression of it, right? Like, you can focus on the body and say, like, that guy's obsessed with fitness or with working out, but life is more spiritual. He's too focused on the physical. It's like, no, like, this is just a byproduct. If you do the work on the physical or in the internal, it'll manifest in the physical, and it's just, I think our mind tricks us a lot of times. We find ways to invalidate things that we know we should be participating in. So as soon as you might hear somebody says, oh, you need to be fit, the first thing that comes to people's minds who are resisting that is, oh, no, we're not this body, so therefore we shouldn't be focused on fitness. Nico, can you stop requesting? Like, that's annoying. But it's just like, you gotta be aware, like, deep down the things that you need to be doing with your life. Deep down whether your physical body needs tending to, whether you can be more fit, more athletic, more capable, more competent, more knowledgeable, more skillful. All these characteristics that you could pour yourself into. And so when you see something in life that is pointing you towards that and you don't follow that and you resist it, you only fooling yourself, and you really playing yourself at the end of the day, because that's what the mind does. It's the mind's job to choose the path of least resistance. That's our biology. We want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of benefit. But the thing with that is that a lot of the things that are really beneficial to us require us to put in the work, but we live in an environment where we don't have to do that anymore, right? We don't have to those calories for our food. We don't have to build that shelter for our safety. We don't have to participate in that. So Um, so it just makes it unbalanced in that way where we get this. Let me get this. Let me get this person out because they're getting on my nerves. They just keep requesting me and they keep popping up. Um, so you got to know the time and place that you're living in, and I love talking about traditional ways. I love talking about ancestral ways. In addition, I understand that we live in a current time and place that's different from what our ancestors were living and experiencing, right? And so we have to learn how to navigate the modern, the current world through with our ancestral biology, with our ancestral heritage and knowledge, and learn how to mesh those two things. Otherwise, we're going to be living in a delusion, right? I can I can think about kind of concepts such as, eat whatever you want or eat what's available, but it's like maybe, but in today's world, you have access to grocery stores where you could literally, you know, buy almost unlimited amount of calories, and it's like, is that what you want to be doing? Like, because traditionally, indigenous lifeways, you would be you would be incentivized to collect as much energy as you can. But in today's world, you got to be careful with that shit, because then you got to be like, man, do I need all this food and access to all this food, or is it actually a detriment? And that's when things like being mindful of what you're eating come into play, how much you're eating, and shit like that, And so it's important to be aware of the current world that we live in, and not to kind of live in this delusion that, oh, our ancestors used to do this and that. Therefore, let's continue that. Yes, to a certain extent, right? There's a lot of practices that we could benefit from, especially when it comes to like nature, immersion,
All right, y'all, going ahead and drop me a comment, smash the heck out of that like button, and share. Thank you guys in advance.
connection with nature, things of that nature. I think a lot of people are missing. But there's also a lot of things that we have to just be aware that we can't really um, participate in at this moment to the same extent, to the same capacity. Man, this person is getting on my nerves. I don't know how to get them out of here. They just keep requesting like 100 times, and I can't seem to block them. And it's distracting me. Let me see if I can find their name. Nico. Oh, there we go. All right. Finally. Okay, I removed this person. Okay. Only take what you need. Deplete resources. How do I develop my purple? Okay. People just be doing dumb shit. People eat healthy just to satisfy the body. Some don't eat healthy for spiritual advancements. Yeah, but even if they don't eat healthy for spiritual advancement, it doesn't matter. It's like, see, we got to stop projecting our own interpretation of life onto other people. It's okay if people do what they do through their own lens, because at the end of the day, to me, that's what spirituality is your own interpretation on reality. So you have your own interpretation, I have my own interpretation, and everybody has their own interpretation. That is literally what spirituality is your own perception of how you interpret and relate to reality, and how you make sense and give meaning to reality. So you might not be thinking that they're doing it for spiritual reasons, but they might feel like they are. They might feel like, some people might feel like building a business is the most spiritual endeavor that they can do, because through that business, they're able to affect people and give people purpose and execute their mission through building a business. So other people might feel that not having any belongings and being complete nomad that is not attached to any material possessions is the most spiritual pursuit, because they feel like that is the true spirit. But who's to say? Who's to say how you interpret reality is the correct form? I think that's a personal thing, and I think that's why spirituality manifests itself through many different ways throughout many different cultures. Even traditional indigenous cultures, they all have their own interpretation of what it means, what their spirituality is. and that's okay. I think we need to get out of this mindset of projecting our own view of the world onto other people and get more into focusing and being clear about what our own worldview is, and then attracting people who resonate with that, and then building off of that to create, space.
Hey guys, if you're catching this at the premiere, I hope you're enjoying the content. Be sure to smash the like button on your way in or on your way out. If you're catching this on the replay gang gang, you know what rocks with the replay gang gang, and y'all know what to do. Guys, if you can, please donate to the channel. My Cash App is featured in every single video. So if you have the ability to donate even as little as $1, please donate. Thank you in advance.
Attracting people who resonate with that, and then building off of that to create, spaces that we can commune together and have community around shared beliefs, even if it's not 100% shared, because there's always going to be a diversity of thought because we're not the same person. So, that's kind of how I think about it. I just think that, I went through my own time of like self-righteousness. I feel like we all do, like you feel like you found the truth, whether it's through diet, you just found veganism and you telling everybody why you should be vegan, or you talking to everybody about the benefits of ice baths and that's your new thing. It's like everybody has that thing where it's like their salvation revolves around it, and they think that's kind of like their saving grace. But to me, I just been realizing like there is no safe haven, there is no magic bullet, there is nothing that's going to save you from yourself, because the journey, the process, the path is the thing. That's what we should be embracing and facing, and the challenges are part of that. And if you try to escape that, it's like you're missing the whole point. Anybody who's like trying to escape the matrix is like you're missing the whole point in a way, because you're trying to escape the challenge. And so before, in my past, it was like I was operating on more of that mindset of trying to escape, and now it's like you're running away from something, and now the mindset is more like I'm walking away from shit that I just don't want to be a part of, but it's not out of fear. But when you're in that fear mode, it's like you're running away. You're trying to get away because you think the system's about to collapse and the world's about to end, and the apocalypse is coming, and you gotta get to somewhere, a safe haven that you've seen somebody online talking about. It's where it's the only spot on earth that's gonna be saved, and you get into all these conspiracy theories, and it's like you did it again. You lost sight of what was truly important, and all of a sudden you caught up in this ideology of saying that there's this planet that's about to come and another sun and all this bullshit that's just, it's like, it's cool to think about, but it's like, really, bro, like you can't even handle the relationship with your partner, with your child, with your family, but you thinking about a third sun and a fifth moon and another planet, and we from outer space. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, bro, come on, get your life together here on planet Earth. You are this being right now. Maybe some shit happens after we die, maybe not. But as far as we know, we're here right now, and there's people who are depending on you and your competence in this current moment in time, especially like if you're a man or you're a provider, you're taking on the masculine role, like people are dependent on you. And you up at 3 a.m. learning about conspiracy theories, and you caught up in that, and it feels good to you. But what is that getting for your life, and what are you building, and how are you relating to life? Like, what if you get to the end of this life, right? And somebody's just showing you a replay in your life, and they're just showing you how invested you were in all these external things, and you were waiting for the aliens to come from space, and you were waiting for the Anunnaki to come back, but then they show you like your family and your children and your partners and all the suffering that they were going through because of your inadequacies and your inability to be in control of the current moment and be grounded in the current moment. And then it's like, oh shit, like, yeah, you missed the fucking point. You missed the point of life, which was the self-development, the actual tangible journey of being in this body, being this character, and developing this character, and utilizing those things as tools, right? Everything's a tool for our own self-development, and that's when you could start to really play with life, because then everything becomes useful and functional. And you see that everything has a place, because it doesn't matter if you're building a business or you have a family or you're doing hunting or you're learning a combat sport or you're working out. They're all going to teach you things that tie back into who you are as a person and how you can better position yourself, and so that you can move in this world to receive the results that you want, whether that's having a better relationship, creating a better life for yourself, your ideal lifestyle. It doesn't matter. These things are all tools. Don't get obsessed with the tool, because sometimes you're going to have to drop that tool and pick up another tool. But if you're so obsessed with it, it's like you're trying to use only the blade function in a Swiss Army knife of 30 different things, but you're only using one thing, where it's like a whole host of other things that you should be using, but you can't because you're too obsessed with that one thing. And so you start to identify with this, like, I'm really a swordsman, but in your arsenal, you got katanas, you got nunchucks, you got all kinds of other tools in your arsenal, but you identify as only a swordsman because all you use is a sword, right? So it's like you got to start thinking about things as tools, and everything has a purpose and a place, but it's not the tools that you are. It's not the diet that you're eating that makes you who you are. It's not the crystals around your neck that you're wearing. It's not even it's really not even where you come from. Really, it's not even like your culture, none of that either, to a certain extent, you know. And I think that's what psychedelics help a lot of people to step out of, you know. Like I don't really do psychedelics like that. I've done, you know, mushrooms a couple of times, but I think what psychedelics is, they detach people from the identity that they get entrenched within this human experience enough to allow them to see, you know, beyond all of that and just really experience themselves through a different lens. And that can be helpful a lot of times, because it's like you're disconnecting from a lot of the programs. And some of the programs are helpful, some of the programs are serving, but there's a lot that aren't. You know, there's a lot of programs that just are interfering with your ability to grow as a person and to develop yourself to be what you're truly meant to be, like what you're truly capable of. And it's unfortunate that, you know, a lot of us will go to the grave with so much untapped potential, you know.
Okay, who remembers this video?
Swatting now turns into malicious prosecution.
We did make love in that moment.
God is a very loving being.
Breaking news in DeKalb County.
Not really sure what they wanted to accomplish with this video, but they put it out there.
This guy needs to be jammed up. He needs to go.
We are doing our best to keep him locked up. She said press charges. You know, that's what she should do.
They breaking the door open. Yo, we're good. We're good.
She said, "I'll prosecute." I mean, we got nothing.
For the truth. I'm about the truth.
His case will be decided by a jury of his peers, not public opinion.
You're not telling the whole truth. Period. We're coerced.
But you know, it's like I try to be mindful, because I know everybody's where they're at, you know, and I know that it's a lot of lessons along the way. But yeah, let me get this person up. How's everybody doing on this? Where's everybody from? I just need to block this person, man. It's like they're a virus. They're a virus that just keeps attacking my request to join button. And it's like I try to let them in, and it says that they can't join. But then 2 seconds later, they're back trying to join. Yeah, but anybody want to come on? Anybody have questions? Put them in the question box. I just really want to come on here and just chill with y'all, build for a little bit. I've been really focused on a lot of other things, like Wild Brotherhood and my other pursuits. Eternal pursuits. So if there are many interpretations, how come we try to inspire people with our own interpretations? Yeah, because that's all we can do. That's all really we could share. You know, anything that we share is going to come from our own interpretation. So it's like either we don't share because we know everybody has a different interpretation, or we do share because we know that our interpretation interpretation could potentially inspire somebody, or a piece of our interpretation can enhance somebody else's interpretation. It's like, I think there's overlap. I think there's definitely overlap in the way we see things, but then there's not 100% consensus. There's never going to be 100% consensus with how I look at reality, because I have my own experiences. But I can like, if I share my experience, because we're human and we're going through similar experiences, there's a chance that you're going to be able to extrapolate some sense of value out of that, because you can relate it to yourself in some sort of way. Maybe not exactly or precisely 100%, but to some degree you can extrapolate the message behind that. And that's the reason why things like the Bible and these stories and these parables are so popular, because they kind of give us a chance to share a message in a more universal way, right? So you're talking about a plant, or you're talking about something that's kind of detached from me, right? Like, I can make a parable about the garden and you can tie it to your own life experience, because I detach it from me and make it more general. But I think that, there's always going to be overlap, because we're all sharing the human experience. But at the same time, there's differences, because we all have our own unique experience. But look, many people think that listening to violent music is good. How do we hold all these different perspectives of spirituality while holding humanity accountable? Yeah, in my perspective, like, it's not my job to hold humanity accountable. I think it's my job to lead and be an example and to model the kind of world that I want to live in. I'm not here to, like, who am I to convict or to condemn people? I can only hold my space and those around me in my environment, and even that to some degree is really only me, right? I can really only hold myself down and hold myself accountable. But yeah, I really don't believe in holding other people accountable, because everybody's can only act for themselves. Like, I think that's the culture of the internet, is the whole cancellation, and it's like, you got to speak for this because you have a responsibility. And the way I feel about it, I don't, because you're a sovereign human. And when we start to take the responsibility away from people, in the individual, it's like, then we're like saying that people don't have their own volition. And I think that's a dangerous path to go down, because then you're saying, like, oh, that person can't make up their own choices, so you need to be talking differently, saying things differently, because if you say the wrong thing, that person is liable to do something stupid. It's like, well, if that person does something stupid, it's got nothing to do with me, because at the end of the day, I could say some shit and 10 people interpret it 10 different ways. Now, is it my responsibility to make sure everybody interprets it the very same way? I can't do that. I don't have the capacity to make sure people interpret it the exact same way. So then the responsibility has to be on the person who takes the action, not the person who says something and then is interpreted by someone else that takes the action, because that's subjective at that point. Everybody's going to take what they hear differently, and so I think I prefer to give people even though I hold myself accountable, I don't believe in going out there and being like, you got a responsibility to do X, Y, and Z, because it's like, people are going to take shit how, like, that's the crazy thing about the internet. I've said things that have gone so distorted, or I've been a part of things that have gone so distorted that I'm like, damn, this shit is fucked up. And people are living as though this is true, but it is not true. And even when I go and explain it and share and say, look, I was there, that most definitely did not happen. Then people are like, no, that you're lying. This is a conspiracy. It was a setup. You're trying to cover things up. So people go down that rabbit hole real quickly, or they go down that route. And it's like, the internet is a fucked up place like that, to where I think that we should have some level of detachment, to where not make that mean everything, because it is the internet world, and it's a lot of room for misunderstandings, miscommunications, and misinterpretations when we're on here. Because, like I said, like, I've been part of situations that got wildly taken out of context, and I couldn't do nothing about it. Like, even me going on camera and saying this is not how it wasn't enough, because people were going to take it, and they were already tied and identified to their own interpretation of it. And they
Guys, check out this clip of Haru, aka David, ex-Carbonation member. Currently, David is somewhat of a weed connoisseur. He travels to all of the legal marijuana states and he tries out different weed from different dispensaries and he gives his followers on IG like feedback on it. But y'all, be sure to drop me a comment, smash the heck up out of that like button, and share. Oh, and subscribe, y'all.
might have their own fucking ulterior motives, you know? And that's the thing about the internet, man. Don't take shit just for face value. Like, I've seen so many people say, like, oh, this happened to this person, we need a protest. And it's like, you weren't even there. Like, I know that you're trying to do the right thing, like, but then people weaponize your own desire to want to do the right thing against you and against others, because then they'll take that and they'll be like, no, you have to protest and you have to repost this because this person was wronged. And it's like, you weren't even there. So it's like, how do you know that this person you don't even have a full story? This person might have an ulterior motive. People are acting off of all kinds of shit. And it's like, who do you believe? You know, especially if you weren't a part of that intimate situation. So that's the internet, though. Like, you get caught up in all kinds of crazy shit online that, you know, it's like, I don't know, just stick to what you know and what you're actually able to verify with your own existence. What do you think about Vedas? Do you study? What are you talking about? Vedic astrology? I don't. Yeah, I know about astrology, but I mean, I don't really study it like to that extent. To where like I'm proficient in it, or the different types of astrologies. Sam I am said, what do you listen to? I listen to different things. It depends like what I'm in the mood energetically for, and what I'm trying to do. Like when I'm working out, I find that I listen to more masculine music, more music that makes me feel pumped up and ready to go and attack life. And like in the afternoon when I'm chilling and relaxing, I listen to a lot more chill music, just like more jazzy, slow music. So yeah, like I think that I like how music can mirror the feeling that we're feeling at the moment, and we could find something that is appropriate for that. But yeah, I mean, I love free soul. I love conscious music, but I also listen to quote unquote not conscious music, or just more mainstream music for the vibe, you know. But I do wish that some of that production and artistry was channeled into more conscious lyrics for sure. What's masculine music? When I say masculine music, I'm just saying like music that makes you feel like taking action, like working out, going hard, just like that has more of a energy behind it, that is not like slow, like that, like that's like more smooth. I attribute that more like feminine, and more masculine is like more bass, like just makes you feel like you want to get rowdy, or you're gonna get a good workout. Like that's my interpretation of it. So that's kind of what I mean. Know thyself, the first and most important pursuit here. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's definitely one of the most overlooked as well, right? It's like, what does that even mean? People throw know thyself around, but it's like, are you really trying to understand yourself? Are you really trying to see your patterns of behavior and then alter them and you know, integrate a new way of responding to life? Like that's the biggest deal for me. Oh, man, Nico, I gotta block you, buddy. I don't know why you keep doing this, but I can't find you. Yeah, I feel like self-development is unlocking your full potential as an expression of the divine source. Yeah, I resonate with that. I feel like, you know, when I first started this page, because this page has been like my journey, you know, like I went from sharing like what I eat, you know, it was like really being into raw vegan at the time, and just it was really exciting at the time because it felt like it opened up a new avenue for something completely new that I'd never really thought about or never really considered. And then as I went along, it got more spiritual, and then it got more like indigenous, getting into indigenous traditional life ways. And recently, I just been like pondering a lot of shit because I feel like I'm at that point where I'm having like another transition where I'm going from getting so used to talking about something and going into something new, and then seeing people not really vibing with that or responding to that, but still wanting to pursue this direction for myself because it's where I'm at but I understand people at the same time. It's like, bro, that's not what we came here for. You used to be talking all about nature, now you're talking about brotherhood and masculinity. And I still want this page to be more general and broad, and but it's just like we go through seasons of understanding, and there's always a time and place for things. And I just think right now, I think there's a lot of men and specifically like this righteous, balanced masculine that's missing, and I think for the feminine as well, there's this call. And the interesting thing about like indigenous and traditional people is like they usually were segregated between male and female. Usually the females had their own thing and the males did their own thing. It's not that there was like one way of being, but traditionally, like generally speaking, like you would see the men with the men and the women with the women. And I think it's just easier to get together and to commune when you have people that kind of understand you. And when you have, if you're a woman understands you. If you're a man understands you. It's like just a more immediate form of connection. And I feel like that's a positive thing. I don't think that's something that we should be trying to neutralize, like how a lot of the culture is trying to, it seems like a lot of the culture is trying to homogenize like the male and the female and like do away with gender roles completely. And it's like I understand like the logic behind that or the intent behind that, but I think there's also traditionally a lot of value in the different roles. I think that there's a reason why men do certain things in certain cultures and women do certain things in certain cultures. It's not because we despise one another or we wanted inequality. Is because we saw that innately we had certain characteristics that were more or better positioned for certain things, and so we made strategic decisions based off that. Like, hey, those men have a lot more muscle mass and it's going to be easier for them to move those stones and create that shelter, so they're going to be responsible for that. It wasn't like, hey, men are better, so we're going to take this. It was just a function of utility, And when you look at things from that perspective, it's like, you stop to demonize humanity. You're like, oh, I mean, a lot of the shit that we did is just because we were trying to figure things out, and we were operating off of, what made sense, at that time, And so I look at it more so from that perspective. And it's interesting because some of these roles are interchangeable. In some cultures, the men cook, in some cultures, the women weren't allowed to cook. And then in other cultures, it's the women that prepare the food. So it's like, it's not like it's a one size fits all thing, but I do notice that universally, generally speaking, that the men stuck with the men and the women stuck with the women. And I think that that's a lot of the issues in the current relationship space. Like people giving relationship advice is that the men are trying to tell the woman what the women should be doing, and then the women are trying to tell the men what the men should be doing. And I think that's kind of when we run into issues, because it's like, I think men should be talking to men and women should be talking to women. And I think that facilitates the understanding, because you're more liable to receive wisdom and guidance from somebody who kind of shares the same life experience more so than you, than somebody who is like the other side of it, And I think that that's a way better approach. So that's been my focus. Like, I'm just going to talk to the men. If I'm talking to relationships, if I'm talking about the roles, I'm talking about the masculine role. And I don't know nothing about the women's role. Like, that's not my position. Go find some women figures that you can get wisdom from. I don't want to tell women what they should be doing. I don't feel like that's my place. But I do think when it comes to masculinity, that's been my experience.
I ain't even finna hold y'all, but I agree with Rambo, aka Wild Quetzal. as a society, we do have our roles kind of mixed up, where men are trying to tell women how to be and women are trying to tell men how to be. And that's just not how it works.
They should be doing. I don't feel like that's my place, but I do think when it comes to masculinity, that's been my experience. That's the role I'm taking on. So I'm here to share and build with you on that. If you resonate with that, that's what you're taking on. But other than that, it's like I don't want to get caught up in this space of like women need to be doing this and women need to move like this, because it's like that's I don't think that that's how you achieve the results that you want. I think you embody who you want to attract. And so if you want to attract a certain type of person, you embody the characteristics necessary to attract that kind of person, right? So you attract through being a complementary, not by convincing the other person that they need to change their behavior. I don't think I don't think that that's a good way to go about it. Joe said, shouldn't we just come together and help each other? Trying to control anyone is problematic. Now, I'm not trying to control nobody. No, come together. Like, what does that mean? Obviously, we should have some sort of harmony. What I'm saying is that if I talk to men and say, like, hey, guys, like, the masculine role is this. We need to get ourselves together. You need to be competent in these areas of life. How is your emotional intelligence? How are you communicating with your partner? If I talk to the men and we're able to build on what it is to be a better man, that is going to inadvertently have a positive effect on the woman, because she's going to receive the qualities and characteristics of that better man in her life. And if the women are doing that for the women on their side, then when we come together, we can have more harmony, more understanding, and more collaboration. But I think this idea of like, oh, let's just all come together, that sounds good, but I don't think that that's how it works. Because when we're saying come together, what does that mean? What does that mean specifically? Most people aren't in community where we can have those kinds of conversations. Most people are living in relationships or in nuclear families to where it's only them in the particular household. So all the conversations, all the disputes, all the disagreements are happening only between them. So that's when having a band of brothers for the men and a group of women for the women is going to be helpful to coach ourselves into how to navigate these situations with our counterparts. And I think that that's more effective in my experience than like men coming online trying to teach women what to do. But what I would like to see, and maybe something that I'll feel called to do, is me and my partner go and talk to men and women so that we can both give our perspective together, on the same platform. I think that would be beneficial. But a lot of times you get men talking to women or giving relationship advice and they're not even in relationships, or and vice versa, right? You get women talking about relationships and they're not in relationships. So I think one of the first things is like whoever you're listening to or you're getting advice from, you're wanting to emulate the kind of life that they have. So if they don't have the thing that you're wanting, you can consider what they say, but ultimately you have no proof that what they're saying is effective because they haven't utilized it in their own life to get the results that you're wanting. So it's like, that's a good distinction to have as well when you're following people's advice. So ideally, if you want to be in a relationship, try to find people who are engaged in relationships and see how they're navigating those relationships, and maybe the advice that they give can be useful. But if you go like you a man, you're listening to Fresh and Fit, they might say some shit that, that might be factually true at some point, but it's like, are these men engaged in relationships? Are they having the kind of life that you want? Maybe for you that is true, but maybe it's not. So I'm just asking you to consider, whether the advice you get online is coming from people who have lives that you're aspiring to have yourself. I believe everyone we meet, communicate with, can be part of our community if we are open to showing grace and love, giving and receiving positive energy. Yeah, I don't believe that. I think that, I mean, I hear where you're coming from. I just think that that's a little bit idealized. I think that there's going to definitely be people who aren't a good fit for your community, and you should be okay with that. That's my belief and my experience, that there's just some people who aren't in alignment, and that's okay. And you have to be able to understand and be willing to to see that, because otherwise you'll just try to build community with anybody, and then that's going to come to bite you in the ass, or you're going to find that there isn't harmony, and then there's going to be you're not gonna have compatibility in your principles, in your morals, in your mission, in your values, and then when those things butt heads, it's going to be inevitable before you guys part ways. But if you can recognize that early on, you don't have to have hate or contempt for them. You can just be like, hey man, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad that I know of you, but in my community and what I'm trying to experience is X, Y, and Z, and I don't think that you're a good fit for that at this moment. And that's it. It doesn't have to be malice, but I think this idea that everybody we meet, there's people who.
All right, y'all. So I am back with another great read. This is the Goddess Affirmation book, authored by Janae. Some of you may know her as Nateri. She is an ex-Carbonation member, and she has authored this amazing book. The book is available on Amazon.com. Just search for the Goddess Affirmation book, authored by Janae Newell.
It doesn't have to be malice, but I think this idea that everybody we meet, there's people who I've met who just, they're not on what I'm on, and that's okay. Like I'm focused, I'm on a mission, I got things that I'm doing and what I'm trying to build that has nothing to do with you or you being a good person or your value as a human being. It's just the fact that we can recognize that we are on two different frequencies and be at peace with that. You cannot be on on Earth's frequency. Like it's just impossible. And so I think that's going to be a lesson that you might have to learn, through experience of, because some of us, like even we were born into families that's not really what we're trying to be on. Like I love my family, but I'm not trying to do what they're trying to do. Like day to day, the mission that we have at hand is completely and utterly different. It doesn't mean that I have contempt for them or that I hate or wish malice on them. I love my family, my biological family, but my parents and siblings. But I'm also understanding that I was born for a certain purpose and I'm taking on a certain path and I have a certain responsibility and duty that requires me to be selective about the people that I allow in my life, that requires me to be selective about who I choose to give a lot of my time and energy to. So I think that the more you start to refine that, the more you're going to get the positive benefits of that. And so you start to refine until you get to a place where it's very clear that every day that you're spending and the energy that you're outputting is going towards a certain goal, towards a certain direction to doing something. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that that's how you build anything great, anything of merit, anything of stature, is that you have to be selective with your time, with your energy, and those around you. I just shared in my story that a lot of people think that it's environment that dictates your life. And there's something to that, right? Like you can change your environment, or you can go from here and go to there, and your life and the trajectory of your life will be changed because of that. But it's not really the place, it's the people. And so what I said is, like, if you take the people that are in your current environment right now and you take them with you to a new environment, chances are you're going to have a very similar outcome, because you're still going to be thinking the same, you're still going to be moving the same. If the people don't change and if the behavior within those people don't change, and all you change is the location, not much is going to change, right? But I think what happens is when you go to a new environment is that you find new people, you build new relationships, and that is the catalyst for your growth and development, because those people hold themselves to a higher standard. They start pushing you to hold yourself to a higher standard. They introduce you to new practices, new things that enhance your life. Hey, have you read this book? Hey, have you taken this course? Hey, have you tried this practice? The people are really what you need to be focused on. You need to be focused on who is around you, and so when you say things like, I believe that anybody I meet can be part of my community, that lets me know that you're not focused on the people. You're just open to anything and anybody. And that's, in my perception, a dangerous place to be, because you don't know yourself well enough in the mission well enough to be like, not everybody. Now, I love humanity, but not everybody is fit for the role to be close around me or be part of what I'm doing. Not because I think I'm better, because I know myself and I know what I'm doing and I know my mission and I know what I'm here to offer and the value that I'm here to give. And it would be a detriment if I let just anybody in here, you know? And so that's more realistic for me, is just to gauge people, whether they fit into what you got going on or not, for their benefit and your benefit, not just you, for theirs as well. Like, why do you want people around you who don't resonate with what you're talking about? Just so that you can feel like you're compassionate? Like, that's not compassion. Compassion is like, bro, I know you don't belong here. You need to move on with your life. Even if it's for a better cause, or even if it hurts me, like, compassion is actually understanding what's best for people. And sometimes what's best for people is not being where you're at, is being somewhere else, you know? And so that's a lesson in community that, you know, we've had to learn and experience many times, you know, through many different relationships, many different people. But just getting away from this idea of like, the place is going to save you. There's no safe haven. There's nowhere on earth that is safe, that is free from the challenges of life and existence. There's no place on earth that is safe for you to escape your own self, because you can't run away from yourself. Wherever you go, right there, you will be waiting for yourself. You take yourself along with you. So it's like, knowing that, I get that you're trying to go to a country that has a low cost of living, but really at the end of the day, the things that really impact your life and have the deepest, most profound effect on you are beyond that. It's your relationships, how you treat people, how you respond to challenges. There's always going to be challenges. You know, it's just a trade-off. Like, maybe you go over here to have a low cost of living, to live in Thailand or something, but then you realize there's a big cultural language barrier that makes it challenging to communicate and for you to get the things that you want. So then there's that, right? And so it's like, there's always a trade-off that you're trading off. But at the end of the day, it's like, what are you running away from? Like, you don't think you're competent enough? You don't think that you can make sure it happen? Like, the way I think about stuff, and I live in one of the most expensive places to live, quote unquote, and we've had opportunities where we could have done something different, gone to somewhere else. And we've thought about it many times. When shit gets hard and it's challenging, we thought about that, you know. But really what kept me persistent was just knowing, like, there's other people making it happen, like, and you're a human just like everybody else. So what are you running away from? What aren't you willing to do that other people are willing to do? And why are you trying to escape that, you know, rather than making it happen? Because at the end of the day, if I make it happen here, then I can make it happen anywhere. And that mindset shift was really what allowed me to embody new levels of myself. Because then it's like, man, I'm gonna make the place obsolete. I'm gonna make the situation obsolete. I'm gonna make the environment obsolete. Everything is gonna be obsolete, where it's no factor, because I'm gonna be so solid in who I am that the circumstances around me are gonna be irrelevant. It don't matter what's happening. It don't matter the economy. It don't matter the culture I was born in. It don't matter that first generation American from Mexico, that my family comes from a little ranch town. None of that matters. None of that matters, because I'm gonna build myself up so solid that will be irrelevant. I don't care if there's injustice in the world. As far as my experience, I'm gonna make that irrelevant. I don't care if you see me as less than. Irrelevant. I don't care. Whatever narrative you throw at me, whatever story you tell me about myself, about you, about the world, I don't care, because I'm set on making it happen. I'm set on pushing through and having control of my life. And it don't matter if I die in the process. It don't matter, whatever, all that doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be straight. I know I'm going to succeed. I know I'm going to push through. So it's like, I don't want to spend time anymore, because I've done that so long. In my younger years, I've dwelled so much on thinking about things like that. It didn't serve me. I used to obsess over injustice in the world. I used to be obsessed over, minority justice, equality, all this shit, and it didn't serve me. I literally stayed stagnant for so many years because I told myself that story. It wasn't until I changed the narrative that I started to get experiences in my life where I'm like, oh, this is actually what it is. It's actually that the people that navigate through these things is because they don't give them energy. It's because they don't give them attention. They don't tell themselves this story. They see it as an option, but they're like, or just maybe I'm special. Maybe I can succeed. Maybe you can tell yourself that story. You can hold on to that if that makes you feel good. You can tell yourself that the system is all against you, and that injustices of the world are here to destroy you, and that until the system changes, that nothing's gonna change. That's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to take that away from nobody. That's your story. But for me, absolutely not. That is not my story. That is not what I believe. Because if I believe that, then that means that I'm waiting for the whole system to change before my life can be better. And I'm not willing to wait until the world changes so I can be better. I'm willing to do the work right now so that my own reality can change. And if the world wants to get some inspiration off of that, if the world wants to be inspired to make some changes through what I've shown in my experiences, cool. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to make the impact in my own life, and so that's been super helpful for me. Like just this extreme ownership of my own life, of my own reality, of my relationships, that has been so helpful for me. And,
All right, y'all. A word from Rambo, aka Wild Quetzal.
What up, y'all? I'm excited to share an offering that I've been putting a lot of intention and energy into. It's called Wild Brotherhood, and it's a community for conscious, intentional, sovereign-seeking men who are wanting to come together, build themselves up, develop themselves, and level up in all domains of existence. So there's two parts to the Wild Brotherhood. I'll explain it very simply. The first part is a monthly membership that includes weekly video calls, a group chat, access to a network of men who have different skill sets. We will intertwine that with one another, as well as priority access to the in-person events, which is part 2, the gathering.
Y'all be sure to check out Rambo at wildbrotherhood.com. Any men out there who are interested in building with like-minded men, check them out.
I wish I would have tapped into it sooner, but I had to go through this experience of victimization of my own self, and a lot of people do, and a lot of people identify with that. It's like it feels good to be in that state because it's like you can tell yourself that the problems that you have in your life right now are all the result of whether it's colonization, whether it's racial discrimination. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that these things aren't real, because a lot of people interpret what I'm saying as these things aren't real. What I'm saying is that I don't care if they exist or not. I don't care if there exists or not. I'm saying that in my reality, as far as my life is concerned, I will not allow them to be the reason why I am not living the kind of life that I want to live. That's all I'm saying for me. I absolutely will not. And so that allows me to put way more energy into building the kind of life I want to build instead of trying to focus and shine the light on what I think is stopping me from doing that, which is like digging your own grave and then trying to figure out how to get out of it. Like super inefficient. Hey, Def, okay, you're not really trying to come in here. Yeah, so I mean that's just been my experience. Like it's a whole different mindset shift. So yeah, man, and that to me that's all self-development. I think like the highest point of self-development is the extreme ownership. Is taking accountability for your life. Is saying like, yeah, there's fucked up things going on in the world. Despite that, I'm going to prosper, and I think that that's the highest and the most challenging road to take, because it's like, it's easy to get stuck on what's not working or what's unfair, but can you go beyond that and past that and get to a point where it doesn't matter anymore? It doesn't matter that life is unfair. It doesn't matter that there's injustices in the world, even things like, and I'll be one of the proponents for like talking about colonization, but I feel like that's another one of those things that we get caught up in, everything's about colonization, and our whole existence is fucked up because of colonization. It's like, there's truth to that, like a lot of things did change as a result of European influence in the Western world or in the New World, But I also think that, you know, we have to be aware of when we're utilizing that in a non-serving way and not allowing us to manifest new experiences, new realities that are right there. They're available right there, but you're like, nah, that it's not working out because of colonization or because the European. It's like, it's really not. It's really not that, you know, but you're using that because it's an easy escape. It's an easy way out. But really, it's like you're really not even doing the work. You're really not organizing your life. You're really not consistent with your business, with your body, with your family, with your relationships. You're really not putting in the time and effort. You're not consistent. You're really not dedicated, but it's colonization, right? So it's like, you know, it's like it's so easy to make these things the scapegoats for a lot of shit. And it's not to say that these things aren't real again. Let me reiterate. It's to say to understand yourself enough to know when you're making an excuse, and when it's really something that's not real. You know, you're placing way too much emphasis on that. Yeah, for sure. Place too much emphasis on the past while disregarding the present. Yeah, you know, and that's a sensitive topic for a lot of people because we identify with our past, we identify with our ancestry, with our culture, and it's like, to some extent, I'm glad, you know, I'm glad to some extent that I was born kind of disconnected from a very traditional cultural lineage in that regard, like where it was handed down culturally for hundreds or thousands of years, because although I didn't receive like the benefit of the wisdom that came along with that, I also didn't receive the burden of the victimization and the trauma and the history and the identification with that history that would have stunted me from thinking that I could do anything or thinking that I could accomplish some of the things that I've been able to accomplish and that I will accomplish in my life. So it's like, it was almost like a blank slate, I feel like. And then I've been able to recoup and be like, I resonate with this, I resonate with that. I take this, I'll leave that. And it's been more, and some people might not like that. And I get it. Some people might not like because they're like, yo, you got to take, you know, you got to take the trauma too. But it's like, to me, I think a lot of times the trauma isn't serving us. A lot of times the story behind the trauma isn't serving us. Like this idea that you come from a lineage of people who were victimized and therefore you are a victim too, or that the system and the way it's set up isn't set up for you to succeed. A lot of times that those kinds of storylines, they're not helping you, you know, because it's one thing to attempt it and then experience roadblocks and then as the roadblocks come to deal with them, it's another thing to put up the roadblocks before you even try it, right? It's like, why would I even build a business? Like the system's not even set up for me to offer my gifts to the world. The system's like, you start telling yourself the story before you even start, you know? And so it's like, how can we move forward and still keep our righteous intentions, you know? And I think that's what a lot of people are essentially trying to do. A lot of people want to move forward in a righteous way. They want to move forward and do the right thing. But it goes back to what I was saying, like, be careful with wanting to do the right thing because that will be weaponized against you. Somebody will see you trying to do the right thing and they'll spin a narrative. They'll get you all riled up for their agenda because you're trying to do the right thing. So they'll start telling you the story. Oh yeah, man, everything would be better if before colonization. But look, it's all the human experience, man. There's no culture that's free of the challenges of the human experience. Every culture has every culture has its karma, you know? And just like individuals have karma, the culture has a karma too, you know? So there is no culture that's free of karma, that's free of anything because we're all human. And so it's like, we a lot of times we place, we organize evil and bad. Like evil is the people who won and who control the world now. And then like the lonely people who lost are the good guys, right? But I don't think that's how it works. I think that evil and good is in all.
All right, y'all. If you haven't picked up your copy of Greatness is a Habit, authored by Aaron Dixon, otherwise known as True, many of you know him as True. He is an ex-Carbonation member, and he's authored this amazing read. If you are interested in self-development and growth, this book is a good one for you. It's available on Apple Books for $1, guys. I got my copy and I love this book.
All of us. And it's in every culture and it's in every person because it's a facet of life, the dark with the light. And so when we idealize and romanticize like traditional cultures, a lot of times we almost dehumanize them. We put them into like God status where it's like they were perfect, they never did anything wrong. And I don't think that that's right either, because you're not depicting humans for what they actually are, and therefore you're not depicting yourself for who you actually are, you know. And so until you can see yourself and be okay with and at peace with the dark and the shadow, be okay with your ancestors and their darkness and their shadows, and be like, they did fucked up shit too. And no culture is beyond, no culture is above, is above this framework that I'm describing. No culture is free of mistakes, of injustices. It happens everywhere, you know. And so I think when I started to realize that, it's just like, man, it ain't as skewed as I thought it was. It ain't as unbalanced or uneven as I thought it was, in terms of like Europeans are all bad and indigenous people are all good. It's really not as, we're really not that far apart in terms of, because we're all human, you know, we're all human. And I think that has allowed me to have a lot more compassion for everybody, because it's like, now I don't have to treat you like you're some holier than thou being. And I don't have to treat you like you're some demonic entity. I could just see like, hey man, like you just like me, like what's in me is in you, and it's in your people and it's in my people, and we all trying to figure this shit out. And some people are a little bit more advanced in some areas, and some people are a little bit more advanced in other areas. And it's like, at the end of the day, like that creates some sort of equanimity of like understanding, like, and even with the both sides, like even in America, like the politics of like conservative versus Democrat, it's like I started to see like these people are the same too. They're just going at each other, but they're really doing the same thing in different ways, and they both embody and encompass the same spectrum of human characteristics, of whether it's malice, intention to do the right thing, and wanting to be righteous, disparaging. They all are doing the same shit, you know. So it's like I just and then that just leads you to, if we're all kind of in this equal playing field in terms of the human experience, why am I so focused in trying to atone for the past, or to, you know, bring justice to anything?
All right, now, Bush babies, I see y'all in the analytics. It's 42% of you guys not subscribed. Come on, y'all. Go on ahead and subscribe to the channel.
Then it just becomes like, man, just do the best you can. Just be the best that you can be. Manifest the best experience and make a dope life for you and those around you, and try to have the best impact that you think is righteous in this earth during this lifetime. And it really just comes down to that at the end of the day. When you assess everything on earth and all the cultures and all the differences and all the history, like it really just leaves you with that. And then so it's like, oh, you got work to do. Like, did you get up today and do what you had to do? And now you can start to focus on what is actually important, because now you've made sense of everything else and you realize it's all bullshit anyway. So the only real change that you can affect is like your day-to-day life. Like, were you kind to your partner today? Were you a little bit kinder than you were yesterday? Were you, do you have a good relationship with your children, with your family, with those around you, your community? Are you being more compassionate, more disciplined, more focused? Like, you know, it really just comes down to you. Like all the focus goes out the window from everything else, and it all just, it's just you trying to navigate life. And you know, where before you were trying to figure out why the outside world is fucked up, now it's like, man, I got so much work to do on myself. I don't even got time for to save the world. You know, I got too much work to do on myself. Really, I got too much shit on my own plate. But the thing is, my plate is a derivative of the world. So it's like if I can do something good on my here little piece of the earth here, I think that it could have a positive impact on the world. You know, it's an inside job. It's all an inside job. That's a fact. Nico still trying to come in. 30 minutes in, and he's still trying. That must be a bot or something, or somebody who's just fucking with me. I appreciate your dedication, Nico, to trying to distract the message. Very inspirational in your ability to be consistent, man. And that's the thing, like, that's why you got to get up every day, because there's like the other side working harder than you. And so the righteousness behind like being competent, being capable, being strong isn't in you being those things. It's the fact that you gotta be that just to navigate life, because life, there's another part of life that's preparing to come at you. So if you ain't prepared, you're gonna get knocked to the ground. You know, you're gonna get knocked out and blindsided by life, because it's like there's the opposite force in life, getting up every day, doing his push-ups, doing his sit-ups, running his miles, eating right, just so it can come get you. And you sitting here watching TV, or you sitting here wasting time. It's like you got to be more disciplined, more dedicated, more committed, so that you can be capable enough. So when that shadow aspect comes, when that challenge comes, inevitably, because it always will, that you're capable enough to handle it. You know, that's the reason why we get up and have our disciplines. That's the reason why we get up and be consistent with our things, not because of the vanity metric of looking good, which is a byproduct, not because of the health, which is a byproduct. It's just because all these things are just preparing you to be equipped to handle life. And the more equipped you are to handle life, the better that is for you and those around you. Like your family will benefit from you being good, from you being strong and capable. So it's like, it's not even a duty just to yourself, like it's a duty to those around you too. You know, I want people around me to be strong. I want people around me to be competent, but I got to do that first. You know, I got to set the example. I got to wake up and you know, and handle my business, you know. And so I can't be worried about the rest of the world, you know. And so I gotta stay focused on my grind. And like my community and my family is dependent on that. And it's not even just about me at this point. So it's like, you know, look at it however you can, that you feel empowers you, because maybe focusing on yourself does empower you, but then you might get to another point where focusing on your family might empower you. It might make you feel good and make you get up every day. So I like what Alex Hormozi said. I think he said, like, leverage whatever you have on hand as your fuel. So whether it's like you mad at the world, cool, funnel that into becoming a better person. Funnel that into becoming the best that you can be. Because the only difference between like a hero and a villain is our response. So the hero and the villain experience the same thing. They both experience pain, right? But the villain says, I experience pain, so I'm gonna make the world feel pain because I experience pain. And then the hero has a different reaction. The hero's response is, I experience pain, so I'm gonna build myself up strong so that I can help the world from experiencing what I experience, or help the world navigate something like I've experienced. So it's like two different responses to the same stimuli. So, you know, that's something to think about, because, you know, how are you responding to your stimulus in your reality? Are you leveraging that for your greater development and the greater good of those around you? Or are you internalizing that and self-deprecating and victimizing yourself, and then amplifying that victimized energy to those around you, you know? So take whatever you have, you know, and transmute that into self-development of yourself, and put that energy into building yourself up in the best way possible. It don't matter if that energy is dark or negative or it's trauma, you can transmute it, you know. But some people go off inspiration, like somebody said earlier, like they're really inspired by human connection and positive energy and all that. that's cool too. Take whatever you have, because not everybody has that. Not everybody has that at this moment. Some people are at the point where all they have is a host of trauma and bad experiences and a bad narrative that they've been telling themselves. That's all they have at hand right now. So even if that's all you have, you could still take that and transmute it and funnel it into this self-development journey, and grow that rose out the concrete. Despite the environment, despite the circumstances, still make it into something beautiful. But with that, anybody got any questions? It's getting too hot in here. I gotta go outside to get some fresh air or something. The mentality of the pit bull who channels the aggression into exercise, making themselves a pleasure. Bang. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, be resistant, carry your torch. Well, I hope that you guys got some clarity out of this. I love coming on here and just when I feel inspired, just coming on here and sharing certain things. Maybe you get some value out of it, or maybe just confirms that you disagree with me the whole time. All good. I agree with this, with all deeply to my core. Blessings, needed this, called out. I'm grateful, Rockcore. I got you. I'm glad you got some value. Hey, what up, Jeremy? Appreciate you, brother. That's my wild brotherhood, brother. But yeah, if you guys need me, I'm not even gonna lie, like I don't really check my DMs like that. Like I said, my energy is really focused on wild brotherhood right now and other things I got going on. But you could email might be good if you want to really connect with me. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for coming in the live, and see you guys next time. Peace. Stay balanced.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video as well as my commentary. Please be sure to drop me a comment, smash the heck out of that like button, and share. Guys, I want to give a warm welcome to all of my new subscribers. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the channel. To all of my OGs, my day ones, my ride or dies. Y'all already know what it is. Big up yourself. We in the building with it.
It's been